It is so hot out today that only my shadow can come outside. So I'll work inside on my dummy load. But it is a double dummy load, so I call it a Dum Dum load. Mmm. Dum Dums. Yum, yum, oh. Hello again, friends and neighbors. I want to make a dummy load. I know, there's a lot of videos on the tube as to how to make one. I want to make my own. So there. A dummy load is used in place of speakers when you're repairing or looking at amplifiers. And a dummy load comes in really handy for that type of situation. So if I had a thought, why not just use a 4x4 electrical box? But the problem that I have, these are my 100-watt 8 ohm dummy load resistors. I want them to be raised a little bit, but not above the top here, so I can put the metal cap on it. So here's what I'm going to do. Put that aside for a moment. I'm going to take this piece of PVC trim left over from doing my shed, and I'm going to cut the proper size I need to fit on the inside of this 4x4 box. And I really don't want to mess around with the measuring tape and so on, so I'm going to take my cheapy Harbor Freight calipers here, stick them in there, and see what I have to cut this piece in size for. So kind of looks like to me almost 3 3/4 inches. All right, let me think on that. See you in a second. So if it's going to be almost 3 3/4 inches, why not just be safe and make it 3 5/8? Let's mark that off, 3 5/8. Pencil right there, get it lined up. We got us a little line, and we'll go out into the kitchen and cut that. Be right back. Okay, so as the story continues, I cut that piece of PVC trim. I had to knock off the corners and to get it inside this box. I know it ain't pretty, but nobody's going to see it when it's sealed, right? So the next thing to do is to secure this in the box. And then what I'm going to do is secure these resistors inside the box and wire it up. Okay, let's go forward. So now we don't want that real nice piece of white soft PVC, a non-conductive, to be floating around in there. So I put some wedges in there. We're going to turn it upside down, and we're going to put some screws in the back to hold that down. So on the back side, we've got some coarse thread screws that probably were only maybe 5/8 of an inch long, but like a bonehead, I drilled all the way through. But it doesn't make any difference. So the next thing is to take these resistors and get them in there to a point where I know they look halfway decent. I think I might leave room between them for a switch, because someday I might want to put a switch in this so I can change from 8 to 4 to 2 ohm. And I guess we'll have to do that on another day, but I'll just finish this 8 ohm job up here. So hang in there with me. So how am I going to get these to be somewhat lined up to the eye? I know you're going to cover it and you're not going to see it. It's just going to be some wires sticking out. But you know what? When you want things, you want things. So I figured you put a sliver, a stick, to line up with those center holes that I drilled through. So that came in pretty handy. And then just slide this stuff around enough to get that somewhat even this way and that way. Now the switch thing that I mentioned a little bit ago, that is on the back burner for the moment, because I have another thought, and that other thought is not ready to think. All right, so let's move on. And that moving on has happened. These are now installed inside this 4x4 electrical box. And I found some grommets up in my shed Anytime I need something, I go up there. My wife calls it Bob's Hardware. I got so much stuff up there that I don't even know what it is. So I put these in offset because at some point I'm on maybe put another device in here to do what, I don't know, but there's space for it. And I misspoke earlier. I was talking about 8 ohm, 4 ohm, and 2 ohm load for testing. I'm going to back out of that. 8 and 4 is what I'm going to do for right now. So that's about where we're at right now. I gotta thunk some more on this, and hope you're enjoying this. After taking some time away and doing some thinking, my decision was made to go ahead, move ahead, and solder those 16 ohm resistors across each 8 ohm resistor to make them 4 ohm switchable. Spaghetti junction. I know, this is just a mock-up for right now. So we have 4 ohms in one position, and let's go down here and go to the other position, and we have 8 ohms. All right, took a couple of days off before I started this. It's because of that. That's Bermuda grass. It has to be mowed every 3 days or it goes wild on you. Down here in the south, humidity and rain, sun, it loves it. All right, so that's where I'm at now. I have to make a hole in this cover that goes on top of that for that switch. So that's the next challenge. If you've got the room to store stuff like I am, I'm a pack rat. Sometimes you get cabling for things that you buy or you see somewhere. Most people throw this stuff out. This is just Cat 5 cable that I've saved over the years that I just don't use, but I put it in my supply. And the nice thing about it is you get multi-pair strand wire in there and colors, and you can use them for these projects like this. They solder up nice. It gives you good practice. That's why I'm building this for future use. It's practice on soldering and also component connections. And I'm going to be truthful. It's because I need practice on repairing that. That'll be more information in the future. As you know, I decided to put a switch on this to go from 4 to 8 ohms. So I needed to cut a slot in that cover so that this switch would drop in. There we go. Unfortunately, it has to be mounted from... My dog Huck is chewing a ball out there. Let's see if I can get him through the screw. He loves brand new balls that he can squeak on his teeth. He loves to do that. Hi, Huck. All right, Dad's going to get back to work, okay? You have fun squeaking your ball. Yeah, your brother's over there. Okay, so you can decide to have a switch or not a switch. It's up to you. So what we did is we just scribed the size of the base of the switch. The switch has to go on the outside because if it was mounted from under the cover, it would hit this part here. Don't want that to happen. Plus I need room to solder all those wires to those lugs. So I scribed it out and I took my Dremel here with a cutoff wheel, which is smaller now than it was when it started, and just scribed along without going past my marking lines. And then I took a small drill. Yeah, I have a drill press. I put the drill in the drill press, the small one, and just kept going around the edges, keeping clear from my lines. Then I did 3 drill holes in the middle. And then you take this over to the vise, open the vise up, and then take a screwdriver and you whack the middle. You whack the middle here in those 2 those two sides will fold down, and then you can just take a pair of pliers and take them out. Then you got to do a lot of filing. So that's how that's done. You can do it the way you want, a switch or no switch. I decided on a switch. So now I have to take some time to decide on the length of these wires that are going to go to the switch underneath here. That's what's next. The next job we are charged with is mounting the switch in the plate, and we need to tap these two holes, which I'm not sure what they are yet, but I found some screws in my inventory. I kind of like these. These are called cap screws, and I think they would look good on top of that switch. But you know what? The nut that I found that would fit, where are you? Okay. The nut that I found that would fit this cap screw will not clear the base. You see how that's at an angle when you turn that screw down? So the answer to that was to take it over to the grinder and take one edge off. You can see the difference there. You could do that with a hand file if you had to. I did it with a grinder. And that way, that flat face of that nut will clear the base of this switch. You'll see it when I tighten it down. And so, you know, I always say you work with what you got if you have something that you got. And if there's a will, there is a bill. Now that we have marked out where the mounting holes are for this switch, drop it in there and took a red marker. The job of finding the middle of this is a bit of a task. Now you have to see what we're dealing with here. When that switch goes in, there's very little space for that hole to go through without tearing out. If that tears out, then it's not that good. So you have to start out with a much smaller bit and then go up with another bit that is still just a tad smaller than that. And then you can always file this out with a very thin pin file so that you don't break out these sides. I'll tell you what, I'm going to try that. And if I have success, you'll know about it. If I don't have success, you'll know about it. Having marked the holes here with with a punch and a hammer. You can see I've used that one quite a bit. You have to punch a small little hole or mark in your centers so that when the drill comes in, down from the drill press or from your hand drill, as straight as you can get it, the drill won't tend to skate all over the place and you'd be in real big trouble. So always punch your marks first before you start drilling. Back from the drill press, and you can see how close that those screw holes are to the edge of the cutout for the switch. Boy, I'm glad I didn't break those out. I think it's lucky for me. So now I can stick these guys in there, I think. Make a liar out of me here. I know I got tolerances pretty tight. There we go, it drops in. Now I think I like the look of those cap screws more than anything else. See? So there we go. Now I have to grind down, as we said earlier, another nut so it will fit in here and not hit the back casing of this switch. One more nut to go. Had to go somewhere, so I'm back and I got the soldering done. All the leads are connected. I'm leaving the resistor leads long. I don't know why, I just am. I did find out that these little thin wires, you got to be careful with them. They'll just break right off if you bend them too much. These are the incoming RCAs, and I'll show you later what the plan with that is. And do you know what these things are here, the standoffs? All those are just those little spade connectors. I had a bag full of them. So I thought they make a pretty good standoff for accepting wires. All right, almost time to button this up. The RCA input leads or output leads, all depends on how you want to look at it, are in here. Put a couple of handcuffs on them for strain reliefs. Uh, I left a lot of slack in here on them because you got the switch here that's got to land here, and I didn't want to crush these. Speaking of crushing, I'll be lucky if all those leads, any one of them, doesn't snap on me or come loose when I go to close this up. So it is almost time to close up the coffin. We meet once again, and welcome to If You Haven't Tried, You've Already Failed. We're coming to the end of this short film. This dummy load 8 or 4 ohm box that we've been making, spoiler alert, it does work. So let's test it here first. I'm going to turn the meter on, and what we will do is we'll cross these leads first. Anytime you're going to check ohms, it's best to clear your meter and cross the 2 leads first. So here we go. And as you saw, we have 4 ohms, or a little bit over. Don't forget there's resistance in these lines here. So we're going to switch that to 8. And we get 8.6. 0.3 of it was part of this system here, the resistance in these cables and inside this box. So 8.3 ohms is pretty darn good for a sloppy little box like that. I did think of maybe using better cables than these Radio Shack type ones. I do have some better ones. I might switch it over someday. I don't know. But using RCA cables, you can detach from the ends, of course. You can extend them with a barrel extender like that to put a longer RCA cable on. You can buy adapters that change this into 1/4 inch, like I've got under test here in the bench. That's 1/4 inch tip sleeve. You can get banana connectors. I don't have one of those. Or you go into this and find something that works. MacGyver lives. Well, also you can take the end of this and cut it off and tin the bitter ends of those and use those as the clip-on type ones, clamp type on that an output receiver might have, or a power amp. I'm going to turn that off to save energy. That's the end of this here, and I appreciate you all sitting through this monotony, and I'll see you again some other time. Take care. Have fun. God bless. Be safe.